Hello friends, happy Friday. Sorry I'm running a little bit late tonight. Just had a little bit of technical difficulties, not really the right word for it, but I'm here. So I hope you're all doing well. I see we already have a nice crowd assembled, and I'm excited about tonight and what we're going to be talking about, which is going to be pipe repair and pipe restoration. But let's see who we've got in so far. We got JMZ56, good to see you, buddy. Corvette Jim, Patches Seller, Bona Piper, hello there, Christian. Boris the Piper, Tony513, Ben Greenman, Paul the Piper, how you doing, Paul? And yes, thanks for the thumbs up recommendation, buddy, always appreciated it. Harlow Piper, how you doing? Michael Case, Scott at the 16th day. Great crowd already assembled. I am just wondering, but there seems to be quite the delay. I hope you guys are hearing me by now, because I'm still seeing I just now came on the screen. So that gives you an idea of what kind of delay I'm dealing with when I'm talking to you. Oh well, such is life with YouTube. I see I'm getting a glare off that light, so let me turn that off. That's hopefully a bit better. So, yes, tonight, well, let me say hello to a few more people. Kilted Piper, Steve, and Miss Kathy, great to see you guys tonight. Pondering with Pepe's Pipes. Harlow Piper, Pipes and Bees, how you doing, buddy? Tim Fournier, good to see you, Tim. Big Country Briar. Sleepy Hound Piper, good to see you. Piper on the 45. Sorry if I'm repeating names, but they're going by fast, and there's quite a few of you guys here. So this is great. Great to see so many folks assembled, and hopefully it's because you saw the topic and you're interested, or maybe it's just because you have nothing better to do. I don't care. I would do this if just two of you showed up. Ah, you gotta be kidding me. Yeah, that'll get me through. Hello, Sailor. Smoking Briarworks bent pot with some Voodoo Queen. Sounds very good. So, we're going to be talking about pipe repair and pipe restoration tonight. This was actually a topic that was suggested last week during the Halloween special by our buddy Pondering with Pepe's Pipes. I'm just going to call him Pepe. And I thought, yeah, we haven't done this in a while, so we'll just sort of take questions that you might have, and I can talk about how I got started in pipe repair, pipe restoration, whatever you like. We got folks like Corvette Jim and Kilted Piper Steve out there that do fantastic work on pipes, and they can add their 2 cents as well. So looking forward to that. But before I do that, I want to make an announcement about next week. Next week is going to be our auction for the family of Justin Aldrich. We finally can say that that's going to happen next Friday, and we're going to do it in this time slot. So next Friday, 8 p.m., we will be auctioning off a number of things, and I'm going to show you some of the things we're going to auction off. But right now I got to refill my lighter. And for those of you that don't know, Justin Aldrich was a friend of mine, a fellow pipe smoker. He was a member of the YTPC, but he commented. I don't believe he ever made a video. He was very active on Instagram as a fly tyer. He was a professional fly tyer. I mean, that's how he made his living. And I got to know him through pipes, but of course we shared a love of fly tying, and we became, as good friends as you can be over the internet. We never met in person, but I got to know him well. He suffered from Crohn's disease, and sadly it took his life back in September. So I don't think people realize just how serious Crohn's can be. It really can be a life-threatening disorder. And Justin fought it bravely, and about a month before he passed, he got in touch, and I had made him a modified cob a long time ago, back when I was still modding cobs, and he said, "Hey, would you mind making another one for me?" And I said, "I'll tell you what, I'll make you a match set." And we talked for about 2 weeks about exactly what he wanted, and he designed these pipes, you know. And it's a sad memory because I was making them for him. I kind of took it slow because he wanted me to do a video, and that slows me down a bit, but I wanted to do it for him, and sadly he passed away before I could finish them. I was unable to touch him for a while. It just was too emotional for me, but I did ultimately finish them, and we're going to be auctioning those off and a number of other items. But first off, I've just got a quick little picture here, and it's a reminder. Hopefully that is showing up because I've got a ridiculous delay on my end. This is Justin, some of his kids. He actually has, I believe, 6 kids altogether. Loved his children, always talked about his boys and taking them fishing. He loved fishing, loved trout. So next Friday we're going to do this, and we're going to do it in order to just raise a little bit of extra money for Justin's family as they come to the holidays. So with that, let me just take a little bit of time to show you some of the things that we have and point out some of the incredible generosity that we have. No surprise there. It's become, I hate to say routine, but you know, sadly we've had so many things like this happen over the past year or two, and this community always steps up and steps up in a big way. So first off, my own additions. These are the 2 pipes that I was making for Justin. I have finished them now. These are both corncob pipes. This was the first one that he wanted. This is what we were calling a tomato. And you know, it's silly, you can't really make a tomato out of a corncob, but it's a nice little stubby, sort of rounded ball. These both have the Missouri Meerschaum sticker on the bottom. These are both Country Gentlemen that have been heavily modified. So Naked Country Gentleman, cherry wood shank, and an acrylic stem on both. So this is the tomato that Justin originally wanted, and we decided to make a prince go along with it. And this is a little pot prince. Again, Missouri Meerschaum Country Gentleman. Cherry shank. This one has a band on it. Primarily because it got a little thin in the wall, but it's going to be fine, and the band looks nice, I think. And a nice acrylic stem again. So those will both be auctioned next Friday. We also have, from an anonymous donor, a tin of John Aylesbury Latakia blend. This is labeled an English classic, made in Germany, and I believe it's from 2000. So it's a nice, what size tin is that? It's this size tin. And yeah, this is a very unique tobacco, not easy to find, and it's got some age on it. So I really appreciate the donor that sent this along for the auction. And somebody will be able to enjoy this if they're the winning bid. I have a collection of items from our buddy James Stumbo, who, if you follow James at all, you've seen his beautiful pipe rack, pipe stands that are, I don't know what you would call these. They always remind me of volcanoes, but you know, you sit these on the table and your pipe rests in them beautifully. He makes these out of resin, and yeah, they're just fantastic. Great, holds a pipe, got multiple positions you can put it in, so any pipe will fit. And he's made 2 of those. A nice orange one and this sort of bluish green one. This one reminds me of a volcano in the Arctic. But I think he just does really cool work. So those are both from James. James also sent a really nice knife that I think he made. I have to check with him on that. It's got a nice sheath, and you can see just a beauty. And boy, that would be great for cutting some plugs or other things, I'm sure. and it's got this really nice sheath, the belt, look, belt loop. So, good knife. That's going to be up for grabs, up for auction. And finally, and I think this is really cool, James makes these tobacco trays. And again, this is made of resin. It has a leather insert here that you can use to, you know, if you want to rub out a flake, for example, you can do it on this and you can pick it up and tip it. But if you take that out, because he knew of Justin's love for trout and for fly fishing, he had his wife put this beautiful trout on the tray, and he designed this with different colors to sort of represent the green of the trees along the stream, and there's some brown there for the stream bottom. There's bluish green in here for the water. I mean, it's just really a beautiful job, and a lot of thought went into it. So James, thank you for these things, and again, we'll be auctioning these off next Friday. And I'll do a video probably on Wednesday with everything, because there's a few items that have not come in yet, believe it or not. One I can tell you about is we've Kilted Piper Steve and Miss Kathy were kind enough to donate one of Miss Kathy's pipe rolls, and that is on its way to us. And if you guys haven't seen Miss Kathy's pipe rolls, they're fantastic. They're made of soft leather, roll up. They got nice ties on them. I love mine. I use it quite a bit. So that's going to be a great thing to bid on. And there's another set of tobaccos, and I don't know if that donor wants to be identified yet, so I'll have to wait and check on that. But that'll be here before Friday as well. So we'll go ahead and have bidding on that next week. The only thing I'm going to have to ask is if you're overseas and you want to bid on this, I might have to ask for some help with the postage, because it's going to get pricey. I'm happy to box it up and send it to you, but we may have to add something additional to the cost. Every penny that comes in from this, with the exception of possible overseas shipping, every penny that comes in is going to go directly to Justin's wife. I was chatting with her on Instagram today. She's on board with this. She's happy about it. She loves the idea, and she's, you know, really just happy to know folks think kindly of Justin and remember him. So that's the announcement that I wanted to make, and I'm sorry I'm taking up so much time from the main topic, but this is the best place to get that information out, especially since this is what we'll be doing next week. So with that, I'm gonna put my glasses on so I can see what, I'm gonna clean them first so I can see what's going on. And let's see. Oh, we got Kevin Berenger, Texas Piper, Eddie. I'm not sure if I saw you previously. Everett Young, how you doing, Everett? Bob Kraus, hello. Yes, you can't buy that kind of stuff in stores, Paul. That's the truth. With the exception of the tobacco, and that's hard to find in stores, to be honest. Lord Hogarth, hello there, my friend. Thank you. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate that comment. Thank you, Pensive Piper. Michael Case, we could work that out. I mean, I'd prefer PayPal, but if somebody would, doesn't use PayPal and wants to send a check, that's fine. We'll work it out. Texas Piper's got some Thanksgiving Day and a Peterson with Yingling Black and Tan. Fantastic. Sorry, what's up? The cobs are not filtered. They're just standard drilled. They're not filtered. Big Country Briar, I could do that, but I've sent out like gift, what would you call them? Not gift cards. Gift certificates for pipe cleaning, pipe repair. I probably have 8 or 9 of them out there in the world, and nobody has ever used them. So, I don't know. I've given them to a couple of folks that were having auctions or giveaways and things like that, and I thought, folks would be excited about that, but it's never been used. So, I shy away from putting things like that in auctions anymore. And Tim Fournier is doing his Ginzu knife impressions. Patrick Grant, hello there. And Deep Perro, good to see you. Corvette Jim's got an RC Sands and some crumble cake with some Orchard Mist. I am drinking, this was an attempt at a martini, but I don't have any olives, so I used a lemon twist. I don't know what, there's probably a name for this that I can't remember, but it's vodka. It was on the rocks, but the ice melted, and a lemon twist. Smoking Kentucky Piper, good evening to you, sir. Ron Hardcrackers, good to see you, Ron. All right, so the topic for this evening is pipe repair and pipe restoration. So let's begin with, why don't I tell you a bit about how I got started in pipe repair and pipe restoration. And I'm using the words repair, restoration, refurbishment. I'm using them very loosely. I know some folks like to use them more carefully than I do. Fixing pipes. Taking a pipe that doesn't look like something you want to smoke and turning it into something you do want to smoke. That's what I'm talking about. Is it a Manhattan, Paul? I don't know. I don't know. A Vesper? No, it's not a Vesper. I don't think so, Kevin. I think a Vesper is much more complicated. Doug Owen thinks the drink is called vodka with a lemon twist. That makes a lot of sense, Doug. A Vesper has, I think, Keter in it. It's a very complicated drink, the Vesper Martini. Patrick, I haven't had vermouth in a martini in a very long time. I like mine extremely dry. I sometimes show the bottle of vermouth to the martini, but I never add it. Jeff the Chef Piper's got his Friday Savinelli with McBaron Dark Twist. Very nice. So I, by the way, am smoking the Matches Memorial Friday Savinelli with Haunted Bookshop. I've got my Tamper Tantrum Ebony Tamper. I just love the job he does on these. Hand carved, amazing. I've got my good old brass Zippo, which I've missed because I was exclusively using the Skull Zippo in the month of October, but this is like an old friend when I hold it in my hand. And I talked about the drink, and yeah, we'll be doing Haunted Bookshop. I got some other stuff here I might switch to once I finish this. We'll see. Yeah, the Kina Lilith. That's what I was thinking of, Patrick. I don't even know what that is, but yeah, the Vesper is gin, vodka, and the Kina Lilith, and that's what Bond drank in the at least in the first of the Ian Fleming novels. Doug Owen has a great trivia question here, and nobody's asking a pipe repair question. So, the martini was invented in what city? Extra credit for the bar it was invented in. Oh, Tim, why can't we? The flamethrower, that's right, Timber Drifter. Hey, Kirk from Florida, good to see you, buddy. Name That Pipe's got Thanksgiving Day and a Bing's favorite. So Pondering with Pepe's Pipes is guessing that it was New York City for the martini. I could guess, but it would just be a wild guess. The fact that the bar is known might be a big hint that I'm not processing yet. Big Country Briar says it was invented in Bedford Falls by Mr. Martini. And Everett Young comes in with a pipe repair question. Thank you, Everett. I was getting off track. And Texas Piper Eddie is talking about the ungodly number of pipe cleaners he needs to use. So Everett wants to know how to repair a cracked bowl. Well, it depends a lot on what you mean by a cracked bowl. If you just mean there's like a small crack inside and it hasn't come through, pipe mortar for the most part, spider webbing inside the bowl, pipe mortar works great for that. And I think that's all you need. I don't think you have to go crazy trying to repair a crack unless it goes all the way through to the outside of the bowl. If it goes all the way through, it's probably wise to fill the crack in. Now, when that happens, it's usually because the briar the grain of the briar is just opening it up to that. It's not something that if you glue it and squeeze it in a clamp, it's likely going to stay together because it wants to be apart. So I recommend filling it, and I usually use epoxy and briar dust for that kind of a thing. So I'd fill it as much as possible, and then I would use pipe mortar inside the bowl. And I did that on a Dunhill that had exactly that problem. If you look back, I forget the Dunhill number. It might have been 702, a little stubby Dunhill. Had a cracked bowl, and I did exactly that procedure. So if you want to check that out, or if you can't find it, let me know and I'll see if I can find it for you. Let's see. Eddie, in terms of pipe cleaners, I believe me, I got a special trash can for pipe cleaners. That's how many I use. And I had to do that to avoid pipe cleaner fires in my ashtray. Lord Hogarth is guessing San Francisco, but he doesn't know the hotel for the martini. What if a pipe looks burnt out? Can it still be repaired? From Paul the Piper. Well, Paul, if it looks burnt out, meaning it's coming through to the outside, it can be repaired. I mean, you can put a plug in it. You can just pipe mortar the inside and live with the burn through. I mean, it will probably be okay, as long as you stop it from getting worse. And the only way to stop it from getting worse is to put a boundary between the hot ash and the part of the briar that's burning. And pipe mortar does a good job of that. But if I think my Aldo Villani video goes into this, where it was an actual burn through and I drilled it out and made a briar plug and then used the pipe mortar inside. And that's smoked beautifully. J.R. Robinson, I have a loose stem on a Dr. Graybow with an aluminum push tenon with a slot in it. Any suggestions for tightening? If you, so I'm assuming you mean the aluminum sleeve where you put the filter into the aluminum sleeve, and there's a slot in the aluminum, not a stinger, but it's actually the tenon itself is made as an aluminum tube. I think that's what you're describing. So you can bend those out, but be careful. Don't stick a screwdriver in and try to pry it, because they will break. But if you take something like something conical, like a pencil, or a sharpened dowel or something, and put it in there and just sort of apply pressure to spring those out a little bit, you can usually get those to tighten up again. How to clean the surface of a rusticated pipe, from Ben Greenman. Ben, I'll tell you the two best things for that I've found. I use this to clean the outside of pipes. It's really good stuff. It's Murphy oil soap, but it's a spray. What's it called? It's just called Murphy's oil soap, but it's a thin spray. It's not the stuff that I use around the rim. Just spray them down with this, and then if they're really dirty, this is a toothbrush that I only use on the outside of pipes, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but I've trimmed the bristles, and that just makes them a little bit stiffer, and you can really kind of get into the rustications that way. So this is a really good tool for cleaning rusticated pipes. So I'll spray on some of that Murphy's oil soap, and I'll scrub with this guy, and then just use a damp paper towel to kind of pat it off, and repeat that until it's clean. Now, if you do that, the problem is you are going to take any wax off, and you're going to wind up with a very dull looking pipe. So you got to keep that in mind. How are you going to restore the shine if that's what you want? And that can be difficult with rusticated pipes. You know, you might not be able to just take them to a buffer and buff them. Some folks will take some powdered carnauba wax and brush it on, and then heat it with a heat gun and let the carnauba sink in, and that's good. And then take a clean toothbrush and you can buff it up like that, or a shoe shine brush works to buff it up. What I've used quite a bit, and I don't think I have it here, is microcrystalline waxes like Halcyon or Renaissance, which are both really good. The same thing, you rub them on and let them sit for a bit, and then you can buff them out with a toothbrush or a shoe brush. So that's how I would recommend dealing with the rusticated pipe. Duggo, and not on the East Coast. The bar is not necessarily famous other than for the martini invention. Okay, well, I'm gonna pass, but somebody might get it. I'm sorry, I stopped the chat here so I could talk about those things. Is there 1 to 3 things we should absolutely should or should not be doing if we want our pipes to last beyond a lifetime? Good question. Timber drifter, several state pipes picked up had small cracks on the outside of the bowl. Rimming out the thick carbon cake caused the crack to close over a few days. That is interesting, timber drifter. I will talk about that. Soft toothbrush and straight Murphy's oil soap. Lightly scrub and rinse under warm water. Big Dave, that works just fine. Oh, thank you, Greg. Good to see you tonight. Armchair Piper used pipe mortar on a burned out Dunhill and it works great. No one's got martini bars, Bedford Falls. Let's see. It's from Food 52 on the web. So, Northwest Pipe Smoker Tom is saying in Martinez, California, historians and town inhabitants alike claim the drink was invented during the 1800 gold rush. Let's see. Gold miner who recently struck gold decided to celebrate his good fortune at the local bar. Fantastic. Okay, so What's Up is asking if I've ever used milliput to repair stems. I'm sorry, What's Up, I don't actually know what milliput is. So I'm gonna say no, I haven't. Tim, that's disgusting. I'm not going to talk about nose oil. So let me go back to I think Texas Piper was the one that I wanted to. Oh, wait a minute. We also have. I'm sorry. I'm missing a bunch of these because they're coming in fast. All right, Smoking Kentucky Piper, Savinelli churchboard that smokes pretty hot. Its finish is dulled noticeably in areas around the bowl. How should I address it? Well, that's hard to say, Smoking Kentucky Piper. There's a couple of things that could cause it. I mean, it might just be thin-walled. It may not be drilled well, meaning it may be too narrow an airway, and therefore you're getting it too hot when you draw. The best thing to do for that, unfortunately, is to change your cadence. You know, slow down when you're smoking it. I know it's different from all your other pipes. It's not your fault, but sometimes you just have to adjust to the pipe, and that sounds like one where you might just have to adjust to it. Kilted Piper Steve says had one with a cracked shank that he was able to repair same way, and it worked fine. That's great to know. Okay, so question from DSwan04. Any advice for an avid smoker who's thinking of getting into repairs? Well, I guess the first thing is do it. You know, don't spend too much time. You know, I tend to overthink things and think, oh well, I can't really repair pipes if I don't have a buffer, and I can't really make stems if I don't have a lathe, and all that, and that held me up a lot. Now the truth is, if you can get a buffer, you're going to be a lot better off, and if you want to make stems, you probably should have a lathe, but you can do it without that. So just do it, and you'll learn a lot. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I would recommend going on eBay, going to yard sales, garage sales, boot sales, whatever they're called in your area. Find old, seemingly ruined pipes that are, you know, no names or Graybos or K-Woodies or whatever. Don't spend more than $5 or $10 on them, and work on them. You know, bring them back. That's really the best advice I can give you. Don't work on your friend's Dunhill or your grandfather's pipe. Work on pipes that you don't care about, and you'll learn that there's things you can do that you might be afraid to do on another pipe. You'll learn a lot that way. So that's really the best advice I can give is don't wait. You know, just get in there and start doing it. You'll accumulate the tools. You'll find that you need tools as you go along. You'll come up with a problem and you'll say, how do I solve this? And the answer might be a tool. But then you're buying a tool that you know you're going to be able to use again, rather than just stocking up on a bunch of stuff that you may never use. And work on the cheapest pipes you can find until you're comfortable. So that's my advice for somebody that just wants to get started. Texas Piper's question, 1 to 3 things we absolutely should or should not be doing if we want our pipes to last beyond a lifetime. So a lot of people would focus on cleaning. I don't. You know, I'm terrible, and I shouldn't be admitting to this, given that I, you know, repair pipes semi-professionally. But I will finish smoking. I'll smoke this pipe, you know, 3 times tonight, and then I'll put it in an ashtray upstairs, and I probably will clean it Wednesday, Thursday of next week. That's just what I do. I've been doing that for over 30 years, and my pipes have not suffered for it. But there is one thing about cleaning that is extremely important that I always complain about, and that is that take your pipes apart when you clean them, and take a paper towel and wipe off the tenon. Take a pipe cleaner, preferably a bristled pipe cleaner, bend it in half, and get in there and scrub out the mortise. You know, actually go around like this and wipe this off before you put it back together. The reason is that most of the time when I see a cracked shank, it's because that there's been buildup there that hasn't been properly cleaned off. Most of the time when I see not most of the time, but often when I see a broken tenon, it's because somebody was trying to get a stuck pipe apart, and the reason it's stuck is that mortise tenon junction isn't properly cleaned. So that to me is the biggest thing to pay attention to, is keeping the junction between the mortise and the tenon clean. And if I have to do number 3, don't smoke lane 1Q in it. So Timber Drifter, your comment there is really interesting to me. So he's saying that there's small cracks in the bowl, and then when he reams out, that, you know, presumably these are very heavily caked pipes. When he reams out that excessive cake, the cracks close up, and that makes sense, because the reason you want to keep your pipe reamed, and maybe this is another thing to add to my answer to Texas Piper, when the cake expands and contracts at a rate that's different from the briar, and if you got a lot of heat in the middle, and that's causing the cake to expand, and it's expanding more rapidly than the briar, it's going to lead to cracks. So that's actually quite interesting that you've observed that, Timber Drifter. Let's see. Yeah, Steve, secondhand shops and eBay, absolutely. Cardboard or vinyl tubing? I'm sorry, Sleepyhound Piper, not sure what cardboard or vinyl tubing is referring to. Uh, eBay is a good choice, Pepe. All right, tunnel take. Perhaps this has been answered. What are the three main reasons you have seen that requires your repair? The number one repair that I do, without question, is a snap tenon. It's amazing how easy tenons snap, and that's partly user error, but there's also some pipes that have some pretty thin tenons, especially filtered pipes. And one thing that I really advise against is that there are guys that are buying non-filtered pipes and doing conversions themselves. It's fine, you know, it's your pipe, do what you want, but you've really thinned down, and it's often an acrylic tenon, and you thin down that tenon and it snaps. Acrylic is very snappy. So when I take a pipe like this and do a 9 mil conversion on it, or a 6 mil conversion for that matter, I make a Delrin tenon for it because I can make the walls of that Delrin tenon very thin and it's not going to snap. So filtered pipes, acrylic tenons, they tend to snap very easily. Acrylic tenons in general tend to snap very easily. If you drop the pipe, the weakest link is that tenon and it's going to break. So that's the number one thing that I see. Beyond that, it's often, for me, it's a lot of abuse, and the pipe hasn't been cleaned, the pipe hasn't been maintained. I'm bringing them back for that reason. Tooth chatter, chewing through the stem, but that's just wear and tear on a pipe. I don't think there's. I personally don't worry about tooth chatter or chewing through a stem because I know that the stem is sort of a disposable part of the pipe. Not disposable in the sense of most things, but in the lifetime of this pipe, I'm probably going to need to replace this stem. That's the way I look at it. Well, this is acrylic, maybe not because this is harder. But in the lifetime of a pipe with an ebonite stem, I would imagine I'm probably going to have to replace it. The other thing I see a lot of is, and I'm guilty of this, is charring of the rim. People will buy an estate pipe and they don't like that, and that can be really hard to get rid of without sanding. And sometimes you start sanding and you realize you're going to have to sand a lot off to get rid of the charring. So if that bothers you, you might want to be more careful about how you light the pipe. It doesn't bother me. Hey, I'm just Chris. How you doing, buddy? Kilted Piper Steve says he often dampers a Q-tip with saliva to clean the inside of the mortise and tenon when he does a basic cleanup of a smoked pipe, and it can delay having to do deep cleaning. That's interesting, Steve. I know a lot of people will use saliva on the rim of the pipe, and there are enzymes in saliva, and apparently it helps break down some of the buildup. I don't know. I'm a kind of person that just doesn't like to do that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing it, and again, it's your pipe, do what you want. But I don't like using saliva. But it is interesting. Tim didn't get any birthday. Oh yes, happy birthday, Tim. I forgot what day was it? It was this past week, right? So Tim had a birthday, everybody. We should be singing happy birthday to Tim Fournier right now. Well, it's good to see you. I'm just Chris. Great to see you, buddy. And Tim didn't get any birthday cake, but it adds character. Okay, I'll just string those two together. Can you make a pipe stem out of 2-part epoxy resin from Piper on the 45? I wouldn't. It's not going to be tough enough. Believe it or not, 2-part epoxy resin, you can chew through it pretty easy. Now there are resins that are tougher, and there are epoxies that are tougher. The epoxy that I use, which is this stuff, this G-Flex, it's got a number associated with it that I can never find. 655. G-Flex 655. This stuff is really tough, and I use it to repair holes in the bite zone, and I have not had one come back yet. So that's an exception. Could you make a stem out of it? You probably could, but why? You know, it's easier just to, you can buy replacement stems, or you can have the replacement stem made. I wouldn't do it. Yeah, Paul, that's another thing, and Tim brought that up earlier. Thank you, Couch. That's very kind of you. Let's see. I think I hope that Foghorn is playing. That seems to have worked. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that, and it's great to see you. He was on the phone with his friend. I hope you didn't get shot at. Let's see. Where are we at here? Yeah, Steve, I know you do it on your personal pipes. That was my point. I'm sorry if I stumbled around on that. I didn't mean to imply that you were doing it on other people's pipes. Vodka is a great pipe cleaner, 40% alcohol. Indeed, it works just fine. Just don't get it on the outside because it will remove the wax. Char on the rim adds character. I agree. Chris showed up for Tim's party. Fantastic. Tim, that is wonderful. Bella is standing some and trying to walk. So if you guys don't recall, Tim Fournier's dog Bella, the beagle, had some spine issues, and she's been taking steroids and seeing a chiropractor and stuff, and she was paralyzed, and now she's standing and trying to walk. That is amazing, Tim. I'm really pulling for her. Yeah, Harlow Piper says he puts the pipe cleaner in and leaves it in there as soon as he's done smoking. It makes the cleaning easier, and that's probably a good idea. It'll soak up the moisture. What you don't want is the the tar and stuff to kind of build up in there. Now, one thing I'll warn you about is some people like to dip the pipe cleaner in alcohol and run it in there, and that's perfectly fine to do. But don't leave it in there, because what happens is the alcohol, it's wonderful at extracting stuff, and it pulls all the tars and stuff out of the briar, which is good. But then the alcohol evaporates and the tar is stuck in there, and it's really hard to clean that out. So if you do that, if you use the alcohol, just swab it in and out, and then throw the pipe cleaner away. Don't leave it in place. Oh, that's nice of you, Doug. So Doug, to wish Tim a happy birthday, actually ate a piece of cake, but he blew out the candles first, and that is great. Texas Piper, been toying with the idea of getting a cheap bench grinder to utilize for a makeshift buffing wheel. Thoughts? Yeah, but I would highly recommend trying to find something that's variable speed, because I find that it's much easier to put carnauba wax on at a low speed. You need to put the wax on the wheel at a high speed, but then you turn the speed down and it goes on the pipe much better, gives you a much better gloss. And a lot of grinders are going to be running at much too high a speed for you to buff. You'll just burn the ebonite and stuff. So you'd want something variable speed. honestly, the what I use, and I highly recommend this, is find yourself an old variable speed wood lathe. It doesn't have to be a good one. Mine is a Grizzly that I got off of Craigslist for like $100, and I use it to turn wood. But I also bought one of these Beal buffing systems. It's just an arbor with 3 buffers on it, and I use that, and I've been using it for years. It works great. It's completely variable speed. I can go, ridiculously slow all the way up to super fast and anywhere in between. And I've got a digital readout, so I can go back to the same speeds. So that, I think, is a really good option if you're looking to go, fairly inexpensive. I don't know if you could find one as cheap as a bench grinder, but you could probably get one for $70-$80 if you shop around and look at things like Craigslist. And by the way, Tim, just because I missed your birthday and all that, let me just do this for you. That's Tim's favorite sound. Lord Hogarth, how often do I recommend deep cleaning, and is gin a good option? Got a lot of it. Yeah, I use either Everclear, or lately I've actually been using isopropanol. I think it's 90%, I think, maybe 95% isopropanol, which is rubbing alcohol. It doesn't matter that much because the alcohol evaporates pretty quickly. And when it's 90%, or in the case of Everclear, I think it's 95%, there's very little left behind. So that's good. Something like gin, it's what, 40%? Something like that. That 40% is going to evaporate quickly. The 60% is going to hang around a long time. It's got all the cogeners in it, all the stuff from the juniper berries and all that, and that's going to sink into the wood. And people do it, and maybe it's fine. I don't think it's going to do any harm, but I just don't like to do that. So I prefer the pure alcohols, either the Everclear or the isopropanol. How often? When I need it. I probably deep clean up any given pipe in my rotation. Ones that I'm smoking at least, let's say, once a week or once every 2 weeks. I probably do a deep cleaning at the most every 6 months, and sometimes not even that, because it's just when I notice the pipe is not tasting right, and it's pretty rare. If you clean your pipes after you use them and you rest them for a couple of days, and I believe you can smoke them like crazy until you decide to clean it. So you can smoke it 12 times in a day, and I know a lot of people tell me that's wrong, but that's what I've done for years. You can set that pipe down and leave it for several days, and then if you clean it properly and you put it on the rack and give it a couple of days just to rest and dry, it'll be fine. So I don't do a lot of deep cleaning on my own pipes. So I'm sorry, this just jumped, but Corvette Jim was commenting that variable speed grinder will work fine, and I agree. Just variable speed is important. Michael Case, yes, I've heard stories of your gin stash, Michael, and you might as well use it to clean. So he's gonna clean every pipe in the YTPC twice. That's funny. Yep, Kilda Piper Steve's putting another vote in for the variable speed grinder. It works. I like the wood lathe because you can use it as a wood lathe, which is kind of a bonus in my opinion. And it just has complete control over the variable speed. Some variable speed grinders just have a switch from low to high, so you want one that's continuous control. Evaporated alcohol and tar can make a brittle resin. Indeed, it can, Timber Drifter, and that's why I don't recommend leaving those pipe cleaners in there. And I'm just Chris has the best buffer for Eddie. That scares me, Chris. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Tim Fournier, I run tapered soft pipe cleaners after smoking, and after smoking a pipe a few times, I pull it apart and do a cleaning with a better pipe cleaner and do what Mike showed. No, okay, that's a vote. There's a good question. Kilted Piper Steve and Miss Kathy heard that you should not use bristle pipe cleaners through the stem of your pipe because it scratches the inside and messes up the draw. What do I think? Well, yeah, technically that's true. You know, and it depends on your pipe. I mean, I don't think Savinelli is polishing the internals of their stem. When I make a stem, I polish the internals of a stem. When an artisan pipe maker makes a stem, they polish the internals. So when you have a pipe like that, if you run a bristled pipe cleaner through it, you're putting scratches into that polished surface. Is it going to mess up the draw? I can't say. You know, I don't know. But it's not what the maker intended. The maker took the time to polish that, so I try to not use a bristle pipe cleaner in the stem. And I've always done that. So, you know what? I'll actually, this is cooled off. I'm going to take you through how I clean a pipe. So, because this is cool enough now that I can take it apart, I'll just have to gather the things up. So I'll take you through that and I'll explain the different pipe cleaners. Doug Owen, Amazon has some good variable speed buffers. So is 98 and cleaner is a bad idea? 98, I'm not sure what 98 is. Good, Chris. I'm glad that you're going to help Eddie out. That's a great thing about this group. 12 times a day, isn't that average? Yes, Everett. Big Dave's asking about a pipe retort. Okay, I'm going to hold there. Guys, slow down on the questions for right now until I get through, because I want to do a demonstration of how I clean. And then I'll get back to questions, okay? So this pipe, it's been out for a while, so it's relatively cool, and I can go ahead and do this. So the two things, when I clean a pipe, two things I need is I use a soft pipe cleaner, and I always use the same cleaner. I always use the BJ Long Tapered, both in the soft and the bristle. That works for me. I'm not saying that you have to use these, but these are my favorites. And I'm going to get out a bristled one. Okay, these are both tapered. The other thing I need is a piece of paper toweling or something. Something that you can use to, you know, napkin or something that you don't mind getting pipe gunk on. Okay, and that's it. So I'm going to break up the ash, and this actually had some, this is going to have some dottle in it because I could have smoked this further, but that's okay. The sacrifices I'm making for you guys, I'm sacrificing some Haunted Bookshop to show you this. So if this is a pipe I've been smoking for a while, I'm just going to mix up the ash a little bit and dump it out into the ashtray. If it's a new pipe, and if it's one that I've only smoked, let's say, less than 10 times, I try to smoke it all the way down. I'll break up the ash, and then I will put my palm over it, so I'm sealing the bowl, okay, like pushing my palm down on that, and I'll just shake it a little bit. And the reason you do that is it distributes that ash around the inside of the bowl, and it helps the cake form. It helps you break, it lets the pipe break in faster because you get better cake formation. All right, so now I'm gonna just knocking that out. By the way, get yourself a cork knocker if you're gonna knock pipes, and don't do this because you're making a lever and you're gonna break that tenon. Hold it like this and knock it. Okay. All right, so we've taken the ash out. Using the soft pipe cleaner, I'm going to go in and I'm going to try to get it all the way through. Now, sometimes you can and sometimes you can't, depending on the pipe, but That is going all the way through into the tobacco chamber, which is great. The soft pipe cleaner is there for two reasons. It's cleaning the stem and it's getting any liquid out of the shank. And I'm going to angle this from side to side as I pull it out. Just pull a little bit each way, and I'm trying to get that funnel cleaned out as I'm coming up here. Okay? And there we go. And this is not very dirty because I've only smoked it once. Now we will take the stem apart and always rotate it as you're taking it apart. Always hold it close to the tenon. You don't want to apply any angled pressure out here, any torque on the tenon. So you keep your fingers close there. Take this out. Take the other end of the soft pipe cleaner and just put it through into the tobacco chamber. Again, we're just trying to soak up moisture at this point. All right, we're done with that. Now the bristled pipe cleaner comes out. We're done with the inside of the stem. We're just going to scrub out the shank, first going all the way into the tobacco chamber. And I'll usually start with the thin end, but I flipped it around this time. The thin end in this one probably doesn't do very much, but start with the thin end and then switch to the thicker end if you're using a tapered cleaner. Give that a good scrub, bend it in half, go in and scrub all around the inside of that mortise. Okay. We're done with that. Take your piece of paper towel or napkin and just very carefully clean off the tenon. One thing to pay attention to, and again, this was only smoked once, so there's not going to be a bunch of gunk on it, but you smoke this 10 or 12 times, you'll see something. This is the Savinelli insert, so it doesn't have this, but a good artisan pipe is going to have a chamfer on the end here, and actually a lot of factory pipes now will have that too. Make sure you get into that chamfer and get any buildup out of it as well. Put it back together by turning it in the other direction. Clock it. Give it one last tap on the cork. And put it back in your rack. That's it. That's what I've been doing for 30 years. It's never let me down. And it's that simple. Hope that was entertaining. Never thought I'd say that after cleaning the pipe. All right, let's see where we're at here. So was that What's Up that said he's got a pedal buffer? I love that. Add a rheostat on the grinder. It depends on the motor, Michael. That can work, but rheostats don't work great on AC motors, so that can be a problem. Brian Woodward is worried that the bitterant and isopropyl will taint the pipe. It hasn't for me, but sure, if that worries you, use Everclear. Big Dave, what do I think about using a pipe retort? I use them every pipe that I restore, unless the customer asks me not to, I use a pipe retort on it. They work really, really well. And I have a retort video that you can check out that shows you how I made mine, and I think my retort is the best one you can use. It really does just put hot alcohol vapor into the pipe. There's no boiling alcohol going in, it's just the vapor. And then it condenses and drains back out again. I've been able to degauss pipes with just using the triple retort, and I swear by it. Do you need it for day-to-day pipe maintenance? No, it's only if you're going to be doing, estate pipe restoration, that sort of thing. I highly recommend a retort. Let's see. Gilded Piper Steve and Miss Kathy use high-proof moonshine. That'll work. One swipe for the pipe cleaner, 3 shots for it. I love it. Bona Piper says he can go years without having to do a deep clean. I agree, and I've seen Christian's pipes, and his pipes are clean. What's Up says the faster he pedals, the faster the buffing wheel goes. I love it. I've seen, there was a video that, actually I think it was Texas Piper sent me this video. A guy was restoring one of these old Tyrolean pipes, and his shop was all like foot powered. He had like a pedaled buffer and a pedaled grinder and stuff. It was really cool to watch. Let's see. Yeah, Big Dave said he broke a tenon when the muslin wheel grabbed the pipe stem out of his hand because the wheel was spinning too fast. Yes, but Big Dave, I've had the wheel spinning slow and it's grabbed a stem and thrown it out of my hand. So I agree with you. That's one reason that you want the variable speed, but it's also important to always be aware of what you're doing at a buffer because it's real easy to lose something. All right, Tim. The darkest depths of the mortar, I met a pipe so clean. Can't you just run your pipes through the dishwasher once a month, or is that meerschaum only? Yes, Mon Claude. The meerschaum do like the dishwasher. Don't put your meerschaum pipes in a dishwasher. He's joking. Good to see you, Mike, and glad you could stop in. Actually, one of the things I like about Falcons is you take the briar bowl off and you can actually put the Falcon in a dishwasher. Or you can at least wash it in the sink under running water. So Michael Case has been cleaning his pipes the same way for 50 years. Well, that's a good endorsement there. I'm Just Chris is asking, can pipes be buffed with car polish? It's a Carnauba wax. Yeah, if you just want them to be shiny, Chris, the problem is that it will wear off very quickly. The reason we use the straight Carnauba on the buffer is that it's got a very high melting temperature. So when you hold it in your hand, it's not going to just rub off. It's going to stay and keep that glossy finish. If you wanted to use something other than Carnauba, something that you could put on by hand and buff, I'd recommend Renaissance wax or Halcyon wax or one of the microcrystalline polishes over something like turtle wax or a car polish. They don't have a scent to them, and I think you'll just be happier with that. Doug Owen, that's exactly the cleaning method I use. Run a pipe cleaner after removing residual, then shake it, and after shake, run a second. How about that? Well, another endorsement. Thank you, Doug. Hey, Voodoo07, glad you could make it, buddy. Make sure you have jeans on. Okay, Paul, not sure what that's referring to. Sometimes I just get pieces of conversations and they worry me. You can, with the pipe, run it in the dishwasher. You can. You can. I just wouldn't do it with the pipe I cared about. But you can run it in the dishwasher. Oh, the pipe. Yes. That okay. This took me a minute, Tim. So Tim's referring to the pipe, which was a pipe that's got this bizarre carbon fiber body, and yeah, that could probably go in the dishwasher with no issue. Lord Hogarth, if the pipe burns out, the hole burns through under normal conditions, is it typically a fault in the pipe, or did I do something wrong? Lord Hogarth, that could be either or. The something wrong is usually if you're not getting a nice even light on the top and it burns down one side, or if you smoke outside on a cold, windy night that can sometimes do it. If you go out and there's a really high wind, you can actually get a burnout from that. But most of the time when it's user error, it's because someone lights like half the bowl and it burns down that side, and that starts to cause charring in a non-balanced way. Basically, you haven't built enough cake yet. But there are lots of reasons why it would happen because of flaws in the briar, and it's not necessarily anything that the maker could even know about. It might be just below the surface that you got a sand pit or something. It doesn't take much for that very heat-resistant briar to become a little bit less heat-resistant, and that's all you need for an ember to form, and once the ember forms, it'll go. So it's a hard question to answer. Even when I'm holding the pipe in my hand looking at the burnout, half the time I couldn't tell you if it was a user error or if it was the briar. Yeah, Kilted Piper Steve is pointing out that ceramic pipes are safe in the dishwasher. And that makes perfect sense because they're ceramic. Everett Young, what is the worst pipe I've had to restore? That's hard to answer because I've had some really bad, disasters that I've brought back, but I loved doing it. So I can't say that was the worst pipe, but the two that come to mind, one was the guy who sent me his there might be another great in there, grandmother's pipe. She died in 1909, if I'm remembering the story right. And this was almost certainly a pre-Republican Peterson. I've got a series on this. It's called Pre-Republican Peterson with a question mark because I couldn't prove that it was. This pipe looked like it had been stored in a wood pile for years and maybe had gotten tossed in the fire a couple of times. I mean, it was an absolute disaster. It was just a chunk of wood when I got it. I really enjoyed doing that though, so I can't say that was the worst one. Another one is a guy dropped his pipe and went through a snowblower. That was fun, and I've got a video on that as well. That was an LJ Peretti pipe. If you want to check out the series on that one. Things that I can talk about, like small struggles that I've had, and sometimes they're big deals. Like I've always complained about custom builds because there's nothing concentric on a custom build, and when somebody wants a new stem on a custom build, it's hours and hours of sanding to fit that stem to the pipe. And of course, not only is the stem not concentric to the so that you have to shape it by hand, but the surface is irregular and you got to just spend hours getting everything to match up. So I strongly dislike making stems for custom builds, but I can't say that it's the worst. Yeah, nothing else is coming to mind. Sorry, Everett. It's an interesting question, but it's the best I can do. Timber Drifter likes a dull finish. I think I do too. I'm not a big fan of like shiny, very shiny pipes for my own use. While using the buffer, make no Y fronts. Not sure what that means, Paul, but you don't want to. You want to be very in the moment when you're using the buffer. Yeah, Doug says he did it at the Tinderbox in '74 and destroyed a customer's pipe stem, and that was the last time he did it. Indeed. Voodoo07, Halcyon on rusticated. Voodoo, they used to make a different Halcyon for rusticated pipes. There were two Halcyons. I don't know if they're still making those, but I think it was not much different, to be honest. And I've used just the standard Halcyon. I've also used the Renaissance microcrystalline wax on rusticated pipes, and it works fine. Christian is Bonapiper is very kindly vouching for my retort. Nothing can resist three of them. It takes no time at all once you get the hang of it. Thank you, Christian. Yes, and that video it's easy to find. It's called, well, something retort. It's easy to find, but I can't remember the name of it. It's a long video. I think it's one of my like 45-minute videos, but I go through like a lot of detail on how to make the retort and why you make it that way. If you want a retort, watch that video and it'll tell you exactly how I made mine. Monclaude was joking about the dishwasher, but you never know around here, Mike. You just never know. Sure thing, Jeffrey Feinberg. And yeah, that shaking does seem to help with the initial cake formation. Oh, Steve Russell's asking one of these questions that start fights. Do you want your pipes in the rack bowl up or bowl down? I do both. I've got racks that have bowl down, and I've used them for a long time without any issue. I have a one of those glass humidors that's in the center of a pipe rack, like a 12 pipe rack, that I put my billiards in, stem down, and I've been doing that for many years, and I've never had trouble with them, so I don't think it matters. But I do always clean the pipes the way I described before I put them in the rack. If your pipe was wet, you know, if you put your pipe in there right after you smoked it and you didn't clean it, it might make a difference. Overpuffing can cause a burnout, especially if the pipe is down to the briar. Washer dryer is supreme. Okay, so Monclaude Gunsdam does a bleach dip prior to putting his pipes in the dishwasher. That's good to know. So Doug is saying the advertisement for the pipe, which is an actual item, actually recommends the dishwasher. Yeah, you know, Doug, I know some folks that really like the pipe. I have one that I have not smoked. I got to get that out someday and give it a try. Big Country Briar, if you want to see one of the nicest band repairs I have seen, watch Jack the Piper's last video. Lucky me, it's my pipe. Oh, fantastic, Big Country Briar. Check him out, and the silver tamper he made is a set, works of art. Well, I will check that out, and I will try to remember to put a link down in the description to that. Always great to see other guys doing pipe repair and restoration. So Tim has 2 of the pipes and he likes them. Leave it to a pipe from Boston to go through a snowblower and still have a fighting chance. Yeah, that's right. That's right. He was from LJ Perettiville. Stayed away from thin-walled pipes. Yeah, that's a good idea if you're prone to burnouts, Tim. Would the strength of a briar block before it's cut determine the bowl appeal? Pepe, there's such an art form to choosing briar and grain and all of that, and it's not my area, so I don't even want to try to get into that. One of the favorite shapes I like to restore or perfect. Well, Pepe, I can tell you my least favorite shape to work on, which is the paul. Not because I particularly dislike pauls. I don't own any, but but boy, those things are tough to buff. It's just really hard to get the, you got this part, to get that middle section there buffed is really difficult. So yeah, I don't like doing that. I enjoy working on straight pipes because they're a little bit easier, but it doesn't matter that much. It really doesn't matter. I do prefer working on briar to something like meerschaum or, meerschaum. But that's just a matter of preference. So, yeah, I think that's the best answer I can give you to that. Cobs are best for snow blowing indeed. Steve Russell, thank you for the nice retort comment. Champagne corks for pipe knockers, works indeed. I'll show you what I've got here, and this is usually when I'm cleaning my pipes. This is what I'm using. This is terrible. This is the sort of thing you should not show on YouTube, but this is my, I'm trying to uncover the knocker now. This is my ashtray from the week, and you can see this is just a repurposed tobacco tin with a cork glued in the middle of it. But it's great because you can whack away on it and you don't have to worry about hurting the pipe. There was another brand like the pipe, Big Dave says, but he doesn't remember the name. I don't know, Big Dave. Bowl up or bowl down depends on which side of the road you drive on. Steering wheel. Huh, okay. I don't know. Venturi pipes. Ah, okay, so maybe that's what Big Dave was thinking of, the Venturi pipe. Cheaper versions of the pipe, and he hates how they smoke. Christian Bonapiper says you can apply Halcyon on rusticated pipes with a soft toothbrush as long as you make sure to clean it off first. Presumably he means the toothbrush. The Brylon pipe, I believe, was K-Woody, Big Dave. I believe, but somebody else. Oh, Everett Young is saying that it was Medico. So, and I believe, I trust Everett. And Corvette Jim's, see, if I would have read, I would not have embarrassed myself. It's Medico. If both Everett and Corvette Jim say it's Medico, it's Medico. Voodoo07, I've heard that the pipes that Einstein was pictured with, he never cleaned, so the stems were never flush with the shank due to the extreme tar buildup in the shank. I've seen pipes like that, Voodooed. Wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised. Paul. Yeah. It was the pipe and also the smoke. Didn't know about that. Would you recommend to start with cobs for modifying? From Pepe. Well, Pepe, if you want to modify cobs, that's like a completely different set of things than restoring briar, and they're both great hobbies. If you want to modify cobs, do it. You know that, and that's less expensive. I mean, you can still go crazy with it, and you can, get to the point where you need a wood lathe to turn new shanks and all that kind of stuff, or you can do it simple and have fun with it. But if what you want to do ultimately is you want to restore briar pipes, then I wouldn't mess around with cobs. I view that as a very different hobby. Yes, and not using the dishwasher. You know what, blanket disclaimer for this live stream. Don't put your pipes in the dishwasher. We're going to call that the Monclaude Gansdam disclaimer. Steve Russell, is cherrywood pipe harder or easier than briar to work on? For me, they're pretty much the same. I mean, I haven't worked on a lot of pipes that are actually made of cherrywood. A couple of ROPs. They haven't been very different. It's a softer wood than briar, so for sanding and things like that, but it's a little bit easier. But I don't think it's very different. Now, for making a pipe, it might be extremely different, and you'd have to ask a pipe maker about that. Now, most cherry woods are actually made of briar, so that's another thing to consider. You got it, Monclaude. Couch tried putting Ilva in the dishwasher once. I'm guessing Ilva did not go for that. Gotcha, Pepe. Jim says the dishwasher is for dishes and some car parts only. That's a good one, Jim. So we are getting actually pretty close to closing time here, but we've maintained our audience. I still have a fair amount of alcohol left, and I started late. So, any other questions? Yeah, I'm happy to hang around for a few extra minutes. You know, Michael Case, I've got one of those, and I've often thought about doing exactly that. He says he's got a briar block with a stem in it, makes a great sitter, never burns hot. I've thought about doing exactly that, just to get a sense for how important the aesthetics are. Northwest Piper, good to see you tonight. Good evening to you, sir. Oh yes, thank you, Kilted Piper Steve and Miss Kathy. A very good point. Texas Piper, thank you so much, Eddie. That is greatly appreciated, my friend. Kilted Piper Steve is reminding us that if you make up the pipe mortar, don't use a paper plate to mix it on because it soaks up some of the water and you get a crumbly mess out of it. So, really good reminder, Steve. Thank you. Also, I got an email this week from a fellow named Jason, if I recall correctly. And Jason pointed out that he tried to make the pipe mortar, but he couldn't find the same brands of everything that I used. And he's finding that he has to play with the ratios. So pipe mortar is not as uniform as I had hoped it would be. You know, depending on what brand of plaster you get or what brand of activated charcoal you get, you may have to play with the ratio. So do a couple test batches and see if it's hard. It should be like a rock once it sets. If it's not, play with it, and we'll see if we can figure it out. And I'm happy to help with that. You know, feel free to send me an email if you're having trouble with it. Voodoo07 says his grandfather used to make and sell cherry wood pipes in the 60s, sold them in taverns and liquor stores for $75 each and couldn't keep them in stock. Amazing. That is really cool, Voodoo. Got several folks considering the briar block unfinished. Everett Young wants to know how long it takes to restore a pipe. Well, excuse me, I'm gonna pack another one here. Everett, it depends. I mean, if you're talking about a simple like eBay find that's in relatively good shape, just needs to be cleaned up, maybe have a few dings removed from the stem, oxidation removed, that sort of stuff. You're talking about if you could work, 8-hour days on it, you could probably knock that out in 2 days. Maybe less if you're, I can't do an 8-hour straight day restoring pipes. I've never had that luxury, and I don't know if I could, because it requires constant concentration, and I don't know if I could do it. But I would guess that the fastest I could turn a pipe around would be 2 days if all it needed was that basic cleanup and maybe a little bit of work on the stem. But that's rarely what you need. More often than not, you need other things. Most of my repair work involves either tenon replacements or stem replacements, and that takes a long time. And I wasn't really thinking of this when I planned the talk tonight, but one of the reasons I'm glad we're having this conversation is I've realized over the past couple of months that I just don't have the time anymore to properly do the pipe restoration work. And I've got a waiting list that I closed in March, and I'm still not caught up. If I'm lucky, I get 4 hours a week. So it can take a lot of time, and when it's a hobby, that's fine, but when you're doing it for other people, that starts to be a problem. So I think my days of doing pipe restoration for a fee are numbered. I just don't think I can make a promise anymore where I can get this back to you in a reasonable time. I'll still do it, I'll do it for myself. I'll probably do it for a few friends. I got to be careful, because that's why I had to start the business in the first place, was because I started to grow friends at an exponential rate. But yeah, it's probably going to change, and I'm probably not going to be taking all comers in the near future for repairs. Let's see. Gary Edminster, late again. Good to see you, buddy. We're going to stay a little bit late for you. Holy cow. Voodoo, thank you so much, my friend. Give you a foghorn there. Thank you. That is very kind of you, sir. And I greatly appreciate it. It helps us keep going. Yes, Tim, Gary has arrived. We can now start the real show. Still wondering about supplies. Where do you source for repairs? Oh, Voodoo. So it was $1.75 each for the cherrywood pipes, not $75 each. Yeah, that makes sense given the timing, as Doug points out. Wow, that's pretty cool. D-Swans04, still wondering about supplies. So it depends, like for acrylic rod and ebonite rod and things like that, things that I need to make new stems, that's coming from Vermont Freehand 99% of the time. Sometimes I get things from a company called Raw Crafted, which is another very good company. It's Raw Crafted, spelled with a K. Vermont Freehand is Steve Norse, who's a fantastic guy. I've been dealing with him for years. Raw Crafted is Premalchetta, who's another fantastic guy, very talented pipe maker, and he's got some really neat tools and things like that. But for the vast majority of stuff I use, I'm using sandpaper, I'm using alcohol, I'm using paper toweling, pipe cleaners. It's from various suppliers. It's from where you find them. I've got a favorite sandpaper. I should talk about this. And I highly recommend this stuff. This is called Abranet. And hopefully you can see you can see through it. That's because it is a mesh. On the back is a Velcro fabric, and that's nice because I can stick it to my bench with a strip of the opposite Velcro. You can't see that, but you can hear it. I buy rolls of this, and I've got it in, I think it starts at 200 grit and goes up to 800 grit. This stuff lasts longer than regular sandpaper. It's more flexible, like you can wrap it around something like this. This is just an old nail board, but I can wrap it around this and use it to sand on stems. But I also will use, come here. This is just a piece of steel, very thin steel, that's got some soft tape wrapped around the edge here just to give a little bit of cushion. And I can wrap this stuff around that very tightly and use it to sand right into the crease of the button. So this stuff is really nice. It's a little bit pricey, but it lasts a lot longer than a similar size piece of sandpaper. So I find that I wind up saving money buying this. It's called Abranet. You can find it at a variety of online retailers, or I think Woodcraft carries it. Good stuff. So yeah, it just depends. There's a lot of different sources for most of what I use. And then for the real pipe specific things, bands, acrylic, ebonite. That stuff I go to either Vermont Freehand or Raw Crafted. Or the other one is J.H. Lowe, which is Tim West. And he's got... When I can't find something, I go to Tim West. He's the guy that can find most things that nobody else has. He's amazing. All right, let's see. Got one last restoration. Timber Drifter, you got one last restoration that you want me to do, and it's a good story. Wouldn't mind that. Oh, that's pretty cool that you can pick up from Raw Crafted. Now is RC Sands and Tim West, they're in the same area, Jim? I knew Tim West was in Ohio, but I didn't know he's that close by. I'd love to visit Tim someday. He's been really helpful to me, and so it seems like a really nice guy the couple of times that I've spoken to him. Voodoo likes Dill's pipe cleaner. They're fantastic. The paper is called Abranet. It's ABRANET. And I think the place I get it from is called MSI Supply, something like that. But I buy big rolls of it. You can get it at Woodcraft. You know, a lot of places like that. What's the... I'm trying to remember the name of the company that has abrasives. Probably have the catalog here. Klingspor. I don't actually know if they have Abranet, but they got just about everything else. So they have similar items, and they probably have Abranet. So Klingspor is a place to look online as well. And they're both in Columbus. Very cool, Jim. Yes, Couch, this is a very fine pipe. Couch and I have Couch has the twin of this pipe, or I have the twin of his pipe, depending on how you look at it. They're J. Mouton originals and wonderful pipes. All right, so we've run a little bit over, and it looks like the questions have sort of up. What's the best briar truck for a lathe? I don't know, Big Country Briar. I don't make pipes. I just fix them. So you're better off asking somebody like Jason Mouton or Phil Rivera. I know that Vermont Freehand makes one which was recently upgraded to include pins. The old ones did not include pins. They're tower jaws, and they attach to standard woodworking jaws. Raw Crafted makes them, and they seem to have some nifty bangs and whistles that the other ones don't have, but I don't use them, so I can't really comment on what's the best. Hey, Texas Piper's going to his first pipe show tomorrow in Texas. Well, that's fantastic, Eddie. You enjoy. Have a great one. JMZ56, thank you so much. You have a great weekend, too. Micromark is a good suggestion, Voodoo. They do sell small modeling tools, and it got some really cool stuff. So Micromark's worth taking a look. Thank you much, Everett. And it is time for me to start to wind down here, so I gotta drink quickly as folks start to leave, which is fine. So I've enjoyed this. This has been a lot of fun for me. I hope you found it informative, and you know, maybe we'll do it again in a couple months. You'll have to let me know if it's worthwhile. I'll do a video on Sunday just saying hello. I'm going to do a video on Wednesday going through all the auction items for the Justin Aldridge auction. Please keep that in mind. And please show up next Friday. We'll do the auction, and then we'll have fun and games as usual. So don't think that we're only going to do the auction. But show up and open your hearts and your wallets for Justin's family. It's the holidays are going to be a particularly tough time this first year since the kids lost their dad, and I think the YTPC has already stepped up in a big way to help, and I know that that'll continue next week. So thank you all. With that, I hope you all have a fantastic weekend, and I'll look forward to talking to you again very soon. So take care, everybody, and have a good one.